So we're going live in 3, 2, 1. Good morning and welcome to MINDSPACE lecture series and episode 2 in conversation with Dr. Chaudhary. For further proceedings, I'd like to invite our host, Professor Dr. Aseem Parekh, sir, and hand it over to him. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ashok, and good morning to all our viewers on OrthoTV. I'd like to start by quoting two rubais from Omar Khayyam. The moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on. Nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a lie. Nor all your tears wash out a word of it. Life goes on till it goes on. And the other rubai, it is all a checkerboard of nights and days, where destiny with men for pieces plays. Hither and thither moves and mates and slays, and one by one back in the closet lays. We are exceedingly fortunate to have Dr. Chaudhary with us, the second of a 4-episode series of the life and times of Nana Sahib. The reason I quoted these two rubais was we spoke last time and Nana Sahib confirmed it in his own imitable way, is you cannot go back, you can go only forwards, and you must do what it is that you have to do. Because you cannot go back and erase even half a line. That's one. And the second is, we learn and see further standing on the shoulders of the greats. So 60 plus years of distilled surgical experience, medical and surgical experience. On this vast tapestry that Nana Sahib has traversed and is traversing, of nights and days and nights and days. And he's still here today, sharing with us, to regale us with anecdotes, for the primary reason that we shall learn. Today's episode is captioned Primum non nocere. First, do no harm, which is our oath as doctors, as physicians, as surgeons, and the making of a surgeon through undergraduate and postgraduate days. Welcome, Nana Sahib.
Thank
and
you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
We left off last time at like the end of a series, looking forward to the next one, an episode, the shift from GMC compound to the GS compound. All yours, sir.
Okay, good morning. Thanks. This is the second episode of MINDSPACE. Thank you, Professor Aseem. Thank you, Ashok. I was happy to get the feedback from people who could not log in, but they could watch it later on. Now today I want to start that after my poor performance in InterScience from Wilson College, am I audible properly?
Perfectly audible, sir.
Okay, where I secured less marks, just 49%. Not good enough for GS Medical College. Okay for JJ. But I was very much upset. 2 years in Wilson College, from small town like Akola and Amalner, I was in the big city of Bombay and got lost. And the focus was on many other attractions. I was not satisfied that why should I not go to GS? But the marks were not there. But then something told me in my mind that if you have a keen desire, things will work out. The Lord will help you out. How? I went to Parekh, got into GS Medical College, saw those big trees and the good entrance, went on the right side to the dean's office, sent a chit. MADHAV Chaudhary from Akola, son of Dr. Chaudhary, the dean's Dr. Dhaigude. I was surprised that within a minute I was called in. Maybe his love for my father and his co-student at JJ College from 1921 to 26, 27. He said, why have you come? I said, this is the position. I got admission in JJ. I want it in GS Medical College. He says, no way. You know, this college has already 60 from Bombay City and 20 from the Bombay Presidency, because 1947 June admission, we were British subjects. And those 20 are all first class. And as he was talking to me like this, in comes his secretary, the man called Khotlekar, 5 feet tall, big thick mustaches and black cap wearing. And he says, sorry, sir, to interrupt you, but I got a message from CP and Berar government that they are starting their medical college in July, but they have not sent their list of new students for this batch. So what should we do? Dr. Dhaigude looked at me. You have come at the right time. Those 5 seats reserved from CP and Berar right from the inception of GS Medical College as an agreement between the government of CP and Berar and Bombay Municipal Corporation. 5 students residents of CP and Berar are allowed to get admitted. The list is, selection is by the government of CP and Berar. So you do what you want to come. You can come back because Akola is in CP and Berar. I rushed back to Akola, told my father. He says, you are a funny fellow. You got in JJ and now you want to go into GS. So he tried to find out. And those CP and Berar government people, there are many interested people to get their children into GS Medical College, even though Nagpur was to start. But it was to start late in July and all. So they had an interview. I appeared for the interview. They made a short list of 10. Luckily, the way I expressed myself, one of the person knew. He said, you are already secured in JJ. I said, sir, I have come here to give interview as a resident of CP and Berar. So he says, okay. So I was one of the shortlisted 10. And then I learned that the 5 students all came from Nagpur, big shots, children. So I told my father, he says, what can we do? I said, no, do something. He, as a general practitioner, was never involved in politics. But at that time, he suddenly remembered that why not talk to people? So he talked to Bijlani, who was a big Congress leader. He used to call him Vidarbha Kesari, Bijlani. Then there was Dr. Hassan, a graduate from Grand Medical College, a politician in Wardha, close to Mahatmaji. And therefore, he was made minister in CP and Berar. And our own local minister, Baba Sahib Ravnikar. So all 3 of them took up the issue. And when the cabinet met again, they said, is it a government of CP only? Why have you selected all 5 from Nagpur area, CP only? Why not from Berar? So thus, MADHAV Chaudhary student got into GS Medical College as a nominee of CP and Berar. 20th June, I went to GS Medical College. My friend from Wilson, Siddharth Nadkarni, he was surprised to see me. Abhi yaar, tu yahan kahan aa gaya? Tera college to JJ hai. Boss, I am here. And from that day, I never looked back. Because not failure, but low aim is a crime. And besides, I did not like the environment of Bhaikara. Parel was much more serene. It was all surrounded by hospitals, Vadia Children, Vadia Maternity, GS Medical College, KEM Hospital, Hopkins Institute, and later on even Tata Memorial and MGM ESI Hospital. That is how I started my career as a medical student batch of 47. The first...
So they say that in a medical college, the dean is God's emissary on earth. So for you, Dr. Dhaigude was really God's emissary on that day. And somehow the timing was such that as one of God's angels, he took you in GS Medical College. Your first impressions of the college, sir?
Well, I will tell you one thing. When we entered college, last time somebody sent me a list. Today I was considering who were my 47 batchmates, because I will start with that. We were asked to select our dissection partner. No problem for me. My Wilson mate, because we are the only two from Wilson College. As I told you, Wilson was never meant for science students. We had maximum from Elphinstone and few from Xavier's. The new colleges had not even come on the horizon, like Jai Hind, which became later on very famous,
Yes.
or Ruparel, or any other ESIS or whatnot. So I just thought today and remembered who were my mates at that time and who they became later on. Sanat Bhagwati, neurosurgeon. Vinod Mehta, cardiothoracic surgeon. T.P. Kulkarni, popularly known as Appa Kulkarni, vascular surgeon. M.V. Divekar, professor of medicine later on. P.R. Kalke, the man worked in America with Lelahe, and between Kalke and Lelahe devised a valve for heart surgery. Sharad Gajendra Garkar, Jagirdar, gynecologist, Bombay Hospital. V.R. Mehta, we call him Vinchu Mehta, skin specialist, Sion Hospital. Ashwin Dhruva, the pioneer in anesthesia post-graduation, GS Medical College, Ashwin Dhruva. Satish Pandey, professor at Jabalpur. M.L. Tuli, famous general practitioner of Delhi, New Delhi, a CP and Bera student, settled in Delhi, and he was house doctor to many five-star hospitals, including Taj Mahal in Delhi. K.C. Gadre, ENT surgeon. Gondhalekar, surgeon to Birlas at Pilani and Delhi. Jimmy Sidhwa, radiologist, Parsi general. Suman Daftari, radiologist. M.R. Narvekar, gynecologist. M.B. Kher, Manohar Kher, famous anatomy professor. So we started like that. And Parekh village was very simple. There was no distractions. Everything was inside the compound. So we started our career, our undergraduate, 2 years, mind you, preclinical, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry. 2 years, not like this today that they get entry and within a year or so they appear for anatomy. And the real dissection hall and the real practicals, full 2 years anatomy, physiology, not connected with KEM, everything around medical college, yes, and it's hostel. So I got into the hostel, and the first thing that happened on those days was 15th August. India becomes independent.
Yes, so we all heard the audio clip,
Yeah,
which went totally viral, and in large part, that is what spawned this particular MINDSPACE and other approach.
You cannot imagine what we felt. You get into a college as a British citizen, and you start your journey in the free, independent India. One of the few early doctors of first batch of Indian doctors to start their medical career. And I distinctly remember the address of S.K. Patil, the famous congressman, 3 times mayor of Bombay, 9 years continuous. And then the entertainment program, and then the trip to all the areas in Mumbai, including reaching up to Parel to Gateway of India to see the lightning and the jallosh and the enthusiasm of millions of crowds ushering in India's independence. And 12 o'clock midnight, Nehru's speech broadcasted in a big loudspeaker near Taj Mahal Hotel. So that is how it started. And therefore, in KEM Hospital, the hostel was a wonderful thing. Just 2 minutes close to college, 4-storied, all who came from outside, because 20 students were from Bombay Presidency. They came from Gujarat, they came from Pune, they came from Dharwad. And few people from Bombay who wanted to be some space for studies, final year Bombites. What happened in those days was the single rooms were allotted and the corner rooms were given to seniors. And many of the people who could not get into admission used to stay in the GS hostel as parasite. So the word parasite came even in those days, that those were not authorized to stay there. But those parasites included many important people. I had my parasite as D.N. Pai, the famous preventive social medicine man, the famous man who came on the Life magazine, who made the draft subject of hygiene into preventive social medicine, family planning, operations on the railway stations of VT, Pearl Center, all advertisements in the Bombay locals. So he was also my parasite one of the times. We had one warden called Nanda Kumar Keshwani. He joined us as a Karachi student in independent India. He came in the 4th year. A very handsome man, fully khadi dressed, almost like our Advani ji. And he was so enthusiastic and so important. He became very famous in the Delhi circles, first in AIMS and later on in anatomy department. And he was in the government of ministry. We also had Mr. Chug. We had Chug. So this Mr. R.N. Chug later on became very famous doctor to Ministry of Health. And he accompanied Lal Bahadur Shastri at the famous Tashkent talks, where the mysterious death of our beloved Prime Minister after signing a treaty with General Ayub Khan. In the midnight, he passed away. Chug was the medical officer. For many years, he was held under suspension and under cloud. What had happened on that night? But you know what happens in this GS Medical College hostel had a big hall. Part of it was main corner for your visitors. Many of our students tried to get our lady students and have a chat there, but they were denied by that watchman. Your real visitors were only allowed, but there was table tennis table and huge radiogram donated by us by our very popular anatomy as lecturer P.M. Mehta. He was so popular with the students that he gave a radiogram in those days. So we could hear songs, we could play our records in that. And there was table tennis table. I remember 3-4 people I would like to discuss with you. I hope one of them has logged in today. One personality was Dhadphade, Bal Dhadphade. He's today 96. I saw his name today on the screen, but now it has disappeared. Though he was senior to me his age, pathologist, but he was 1 year junior. He practiced on Vincent Road as pathologist, Bal Dhadphade. He was very witty person. Pula Deshpande came into our life much later, but Mr. Bal Dhadphade, I believe you, whatever jokes he made, they were known in those days in KM circle. That is typical dhars. Kai sala dhars bolto yaar. Such a very good sense of humor here. The second was DSC Devdar, Daniel Samuel Charles Devdar, from Dharwad, Christian, intelligent person. This DSC Devdar became a very famous surgeon, professor in India, but something happened and he ran away to New Zealand. But there he produced a brilliant work, Devdar's technique for prolapse rectum. He was our hostelite. In this vacation of summer, we used to do dissection, and in the afternoon with the mess Aryan club, there was the other Gujarati club and one was non-vegetarian. So in that hall, we used to play bridge, and the persons were Manohar Kher, MB Kher, Walia, myself and one Mr. MD Devdar, brother of your SD Devdar, who became later on honorary in KM.
Sharad Devdar.
All 4 of us took to bridge very seriously. So much so that Manohar Kher, when he got scholarship to study anatomy in USA, he opened up the bridge journal and found out where bridge was more popular. And he was so avid bridge player that he used to play all India tournaments under his own team, Manohar Kher's team. And he had 4 propositions of mathematics, probabilities, Manohar Kher's bridge theorems. So these were all our contemporaries who shined in such various features. Anatomy preclinical, Professor Kopikar. I later on realized why he was so popular and so loving. He had a very bad family life. His wife had psychiatric problems. So he ushered in all his love on us. Kopikar. And Kurulkar was associate professor. And KD Desai was one of the senior lecturers. He became later on professor. Physiology, we had a Parsi gentleman. His one leg was short, Batliwala. I'm not sure whether it was Batliwala, but he was a Parsi gentleman, professor of physiology. And then we had practicals, Shah and Pereira. They used to be GPs and yet attached to the medical college for practical purposes as demonstrators in anatomy department and all that. Biochemistry, we had Professor Chitre. And pharmacology, we had Professor Paranjpe, Anand A.S. Paranjpe. But something happened. We had one Karandikar, our own Gossimek, sent to US under some Fulbright scholarship. And he came as professor of pharmacology and he took 5 lectures. Do you know what he did? If he taught us thyroid, he had a patient of hypothyroidism, he had a patient of hyperthyroidism, and then he used to teach us pharmacology of thyroid, its functions, and also clinical implication. What a way to teach, man. And I think if that is thing adopted simultaneously, rather than learning thyroxine and its actions and systems, and then a person seeing it in clinical wards. But he started that procedure and we simply loved him. And then pathology, we had Dr. Purandare, not BN, another Purandare, and Dr. Kothare. So this is how we started our preclinical 2-year.
So a brief interruption, sir, if I may. The hostel was there at the northeast corner where
Yes.
it is today, the
Yes.
undergraduate hostel.
Yes.
Sir, did it have 2 floors or 3 floors in your time, sir? Because one floor has been added later.
Fourth floor later. Our time 3 floors. Yes.
There were 3 floors.
Yes.
There were 3 floors.
Yes.
And on one side of the entry, the big hall, there was what was called the Guju mess, and the other side was Simon's mess. Simon, of course, much after your time. And there was one more mess, sir, the Morris's mess. Was that after your time? You used to cater to the nurses' hostel.
No.
Only these 2 messes.
The gate was coming from nurses' quarters,
Correct.
Assistant Dean's Bungalow, and ladies' hostel.
Yeah. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And the funny thing used to be when the ladies enter, in those days, out of 80, only 8 or 9 were girls. The proportion बहुत खराब था यार. 80 लड़कों में से सिर्फ 8 प्रॉब्लम था. तब वो हॉस्टल में से जब आते थे, तब some students used to sit on the terrace and उनको tease करते जाते आते. So later on they complained. So one day somebody came and found out who were the people who were doing that mischief,
Please, sir.
So this first MBBS, I was just 11th in the batch. Whatever I wanted to make up, could not make up in those subjects. But once I entered the portals of KEM hospital, things were much different. Suddenly, मेरी battery एकदम charge हो गई, because it was a live science. And during this period, the advantage of GS Medical College was we had tennis court, badminton court, volleyball, a gymnasium, a real red लाल मट्टी का पहलवानी, कुश्ती. Some of our students became very famous कुश्तीगीर, पहलवान. उसमें से एक था बालू जोग करके, he became professor in Sholapur, and one was Rajpal, who became Tata Memorial Cancer Specialist. So they were very good in kushti also. So I wonder how in those days people could spoil their body. लाल मट्टी में खेल के आके फिर शावर लेते थे. But kushti was also available in those days, and that was a sports in inter-university also, kushti in those days. So then started in tennis. We had a nice tennis court. The only thing I will tell you that I started my tennis learning as my father's program for me, personality development in Akola at the age before I even matriculated, which is very rare for Bombay people. So nobody came on the tennis court, but we all CP students were more popular in tennis. And we had some Hong Kong students as an agreement between Government of India and the then Hong Kong government, because we were that time Commonwealth. So that time we had some students. So we had one Bobby Lowe. So 2 years I was runners-up, Bobby Lowe was champion. Next 3 years I was consecutive champion of tennis GS Medical College, represented GS Medical College in tennis and Bombay University in inter-university matches. Once we were asked to go to Colombo, but that was my final year first term. My father refused. He said, "Kahi hi kar, but don't lose your sight and grip, because you have to become a doctor and not a tennis player." I don't blame him, but I played tennis. Sportsmanship taught me so many things. Number one, what is winning, what is losing, what is health, how to take defeat, how to have a collective sportsmanship, and how to be a disciplined person in sports. I believe many universities in America gave preference to students who excelled in sports at a particular level, especially in the Dukes. When I went in the radiology department, my niece, the batch was selected, the convocation address, the man said, I always look for sportsmen because they make the best doctors because they have certain qualities which the bookworms, पुस्तकातले किडे वेगळे आणि sportsman वेगळे. So I was one of the good sportsmen in tennis. I had the audacity as a secretary of tennis, GS Medical College, to invite the then governor of Maharashtra, Raja Maharaj Singh. He was related to Amrut Kaur, health minister. And he was a very avid tennis player. And there he invited us through Jimmy Mehta, who was one of the tennis champion in those days in CCI. So when I used to play tennis for colleges, Jimmy Mehta one day spotted me and he said, good that GS Medical College has good tennis court and you are using it. So I said, why don't you come, Jimmy? He said, why not? I will bring Maharaj Singh also because we play at Rajbhavan tennis court. Sure enough, when I told me Dean that he is coming, better get the course in shape. So we had Maharaj Singh playing tennis with us, and on the other side, GS Medical College represented by MADHAV Chaudhary, V.R. Mehta, and Chakravarti and Pandey. So that was one of the best events that could happen. So हमारी इज्जत एकदम बढ़ गई, collar tight. Maharashtra governor comes to GS Medical College to play tennis. Headlines on the sports page of Times of India. Table tennis, Badar Maskati, can you believe? He was a very staunch table tennis player. So as a secretary, he registered GS Medical College team for entire Bombay city leagues. Many tennis, table tennis clubs used to play. There were A, B, C, D group. We were in C group. So we had to go there and play and they used to come home and away, home and away. One of the days, we had to play with the Tata Sports Club. And there we went in Parekh in Tata Sports Club. And whom did I play with? R.S. Gentle, who represented India in hockey in those days. But he was also playing table tennis. So that is my memory about that. Volleyball. Our 47 batch became champion. That was a direct hit volleyball, not pass and shot. So we became champion all the 5 years. So this is how I developed on the side of my health and my sports. And then we come to the Silver Jubilee, 1950, 1925, GS Medical College comes into existence, 1950 Silver Jubilee. Committees were formed. I was assigned the committee with Dr. Baliga as chairman for entertainment cultural program. And what did he do? The entire team of RK Studio, Raj Kapoor. Kya hua? The scene of Barsat, acting Raj Kapoor, Nargis, Nimmi, singing by Lata to the entire LP, Lakshmikant Parallel. I could never forget that. Entire thing created in the GS complex. All because of Dr. Baliga. Later on, when I talk about Baliga, I will let you know. He had staunch communist background. And all these people from the film industry, from politics and everybody, they were very close to him. And that is how that entertainment program came. But the most important thing I remember about the GS Medical College Silver Jubilee 1950 was a float of medical history, of medical sciences. A brilliant concept by Dr. Purandare and others, that the history was depicted by actual people representing those one, right from Charas, Sushruta, and up to inventor of penicillin, Sir Alexander Fleming. Boys were properly selected, given proper makeups and all that on the float, and from Parel to Opera House. This float was going through the street of Bombay. KEM Hospital, GS Medical College, Silver Jubilee. So the entire city was knowing that this hospital, which came up as independent India's, JJ was a government affair. This was Bombay Municipal Corporation. People talk about Bombay Municipal Corporation in a different concept today. But believe me, in those days, Bombay Municipal Corporation ran 3 medical colleges very successfully. No politician ever entered us. As a registrar or houseman, we never faced any problem with any corporate. If at all they had interest in the patient, they were genuine. No gundaism, no holy. So this float was very popular. I was very lucky later on to attend the Golden Jubilee 50th year 1975, the first day at MLT, and then 2000 Platinum Jubilee. So ये तो luck है boss. 25, 50 and 75 of your alma mater. Bolo.
So incidentally, you mentioned Duke's University. Incidentally, you're wearing a Duke's t-shirt today.
Yes, yes. When I went there,
Yeah.
I was an overseas visitor, and my niece was being graduated there. So
Yes.
that day, on the previous night, they had a dinner. तो डिनर टेबल पर हम बैठ गया उसके साथ, हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट के साथ. जब हम बात करता है ना बॉस, तो दूसरे दिन वो बोलता है वी हैव ए विजिटर फ्रॉम इंडिया, ही इज अ सर्जन, बट ऑन दिस ओकेजन आई वुड लाइक टू हियर फ्रॉम हिम. तो वहाँ भी एक भाषण हमने ठोक दिया था 10 मिनट का. तो उन्होंने हमको जर्सी प्रेजेंट किया था.
So and similarly, just one last word about the college building before you move to the hospital. Even the physiology school on the 3rd floor, that's the final floor, that was also an addition. Was it there in your days? The top floor? Above anatomy, was there anything?
I'm not very sure whether it, I think it was 3 floor. 4th floor might have been added.
Might have been, right, sir.
Okay, so that is how first MBBS, 11th standing in the college. Nothing much to talk about. Then we go to the KEM hospital. What a wonderful long corridor. And at the end of the corridor comes the RMO's quarters. The dream of every doctor there with white coat. गले में एप्रन के साथ स्टेथोस्कोप लटकता है, या तो शंकर के गले में नाग बैठा है, या तो लंबा ऐसा. तो वहाँ जाते वक्त one thing was very intriguing, that within 2-3 years a new department came in KEM hospital. One Mrs. Kamla Nimkar, American lady married to a Nimkar, the India's first physiotherapy and OT college. So it was located initially, the workshop, very close to the RMS quarters hostel entrance. That RMS quarters building was wonderful. We had single rooms, but we had common toilets at the end. But the large hall at the ground floor, big dining hall area, the employees, Morris, I am told later on, he himself became a caterer, Morris and Boja. And then there were recreational areas also. Table tennis was there, chess was there, radiogram was there. But most important thing was, we were only getting 125 rupees as house surgeon and 175 rupees as registrar. And our mess run by us with one clerk given by the dean. So everything was managed by us, accounts, purchases. 125 रुपया में हम लोग morning breakfast, like a regular English British breakfast, omelette, toast, eggs, lunch, दोपहर का चाय or dinner, and 3 times a week ice cream, the pot made ice cream, because the commercial ice creams were not available in those days. One of the thing was, the neighbors building was AMOs, and one of the AMO at that time was our famous Y.S. Bhojraj, popularly known as Babaji. What a brilliant person. Another of our entry from CP and Berar. You know, we produced gems in GS Medical College. Those 5 students coming from CP and Berar, it included people like Y.S. Bhojraj, P.K. Sen and whatnot. Of course, M.R. Chaudhary is just insignificant before them. But GS Medical College had that batch coming from CP and Berar as one of the best things that could happen, of mingling of Bharat. So Bhojraj used to come there. He was a casualty officer. One day, he also used to give anesthesia. He was only qualified as DA, not even MD Bombay. One day he comes to me and tells us, Madhav, do you know, I am going to England for FRCS at that age. Courtesy Dr. A.V. Baliga. So that is what KEM spirit was. So this is the RMO's quarters. There was a quarrel between nurses and doctors of RMO, and the New Year Christmas dance was stopped by dean and matron. अरे होता है भाई. Including all the traditional dancing and good cake cutting and whatnot. No liquor, of course. And who helped me in this? Myself, Farooq Udwadia, and Dr. Balu Jog. We went and pleaded to these authorities. And that function we still remember, because that was the people we work with, nurses in the ward. What is wrong with celebration with them? That was our argument. In those days, one had to do this 3 months called preclinical. What a wonderful concept. उसमें हमको VP Mehta and Dr. J.K. Mehta used to teach surgery and medicine. The basics of medicine and surgery, right from inspection, palpation, percussion and whatnot, and examination, history taking, before you started your first surgical, second surgical, and like that. I don't know whether they still have it. It was wonderful introduction to clinical science. And then
they don't have preclinical anymore, sir.
No, that was the best thing that could happen to us. Then we are given 3 months first surgical, 3 months second surgical, 3 months first medicine, 3 months second medicine, 3 months OB/GYN, out of which KEM only had GYN. For OB, we had to go to across in Vadia maternity, and we had to complete 10 delivery sheets that you conducted yourself. And believe me, some of us really did it very systematically and honestly. Others only got the signature from somebody in that department. Acha, theek hai baba, le le. Write it down and we'll sign it out. We also had 10 postmortems to complete. So some people religiously did it. Others only got the signature from the authorities. So उस वक्त भी ऐसा चलता था. नहीं किया तो signature ले लो. But I was interested, because it was so nice to bring somebody into life. अपने को तो gynecologist बनना नहीं है, मगर किसी का बेबी तुम्हारे हाथ में आता है, what a pleasant sight it is. So 10 cases we had to do that. We had 6 weeks short periods in ophthalmology, orthopedics, and we never had what was known as PSM experience in primary health centers. Later on, हमको पता लगा कि that was the best thing that could happen to boys and girls away from medical college in some decent areas selected by medical. कुछ पालघर में जाते थे, कुछ इधर उधर जाते थे, और वहाँ क्या चलता था? Many marriages took place, got settled in that areas. So we didn't have in those days. There was no internship. You get your MBBS papers, second MBBS, pharmacology, jurisprudence, and hygiene. The word PSM was not even known. So pharmacology, pathology, jurisprudence, and hygiene. You clear that up. So second MBBS mein, I was 5th from top in GS Medical College. And then comes the final MBBS. So usme used to have medicine paper 1 and 2, surgery 1 and 2, in which ophthalmology and orthopedics was included, and 1 OB/GYN. Total 1800 marks. And in those days, it was writing. So not this objective where you can score 100. So with 1180 marks, I was 3rd in GS Medical College, 7th in the university, and 2nd in surgery. So MBBS to हमने कर लिया. The main desire to come to KEM was completely fulfilled. And in this period, what personalities? A.V. Baliga, Annappa Vitthal Baliga. What a career, what a life. Totally nationalistic in outlook, coming from a poor background of South Canara, Udupi, where many good chefs came in India. Pura restaurant hai Bombay ka, Udupi restaurant. That Udupi, the home of TMA pies and the future medical center of pies at South Canara. This man was LCPS because the college was started for them. Nationalistic College, turned into later on Medical College, NMC. So he was LCPS, but very brilliant boy. He was spotted by the then surgeon G.V. Deshmukh, another personality surgeon from Berar, Vidarbhacha Manus, a big family of Wardha, studied in those days in England and got FRCS. Gopal Rao Deshmukh became staunch congressman, a surgeon, mayor of Bombay, named street after him, Pedder Road named after Gopal Rao Deshmukh. He convinced the dean, this is a brilliant boy, let him get house surgeonship in GS Medical College. Not done, वो LCPS hai, but he succeeded. This boy joins the GS Medical College amongst the MBBS. Could not appear for MS because he was not MBBS. Gopal Rao Deshmukh told him, don't bother, go to England. In the meantime, he had married a general practitioner, Shernai, in Parel area, his daughter Kamla. So he goes to England, does his LRCP, MRCS, and then fellowship was easy for him. There was no question of MBBS. British rules, no MBBS, no MS. England, you are LRCP, MRCS, go for FRCS. So he gets his FRCS and comes back. Dr. A.V. Baliga. What a wonderful man. Man of a common man to the surgeon of the richest of the rich. He was surgeon to Ali Raza, the king of jewelry in those days, before even the Javaris came about. The diamond king, Ali Raza. I don't know whether he was doing smuggling, but he was the king of diamonds. Then the industrialist Arvind Bhai Mafatlal. All the cinema communists, Balraj Sahani, Aruna Asaf Ali. Dr. Baliga and Aruna Asaf Ali, they had a wonderful chemistry. I mean, intelligent people get attracted to each other, no wonder. Baliga became very close to Nehru. He wanted him in the cabinet of Free India. Baliga said, I will be rather a kingmaker, and continued to serve as a surgeon. And he introduced number of communists in those days into Congress. If you cannot win by bullets, win by ballots. So Krishna Menon, Baliga's great friend, Krishna Menon's financier, his elections in Bombay were fought by money from Dr. Baliga, which he collected from his friends. Krishna Menon, his last days were spent in Baliga's nursing home. Then he had Lalit Mishra, Barve. All these people became ministers, and he even got the Pai family introduced into ministry, courtesy Dr. Baliga, through Nehru. So this was that character. Dr. G.M. Phadke, gem of a man. Man of a common Marathi population, Dadar area, colony nursing home, the only solace for poor people, middle class people. The man who excelled in vasoepididemo anastomosis, the man who did triple ligation for cirrhosis of liver in those days, hepatic artery ligation, and later on portocaval shunt, which work was later on taken up by Vasant Sheth and later on Bhalerao. Dr. V.P. Mehta, son of Sir Pranjivanlal Mehta of Jamnagar, the brilliant Ayurvedic person who had the concept of solariums, treatment of various diseases by sunlight passing through different colors of glasses. And therefore solarium used to rotate as per the sun's rotation. So V.P. Mehta, brilliant man, only person in those days to get MD and MS per shot at the age of 26. But later on, the stress of this keeping up the race paid a heavy toll. He became addict later on. And in my life, his position later on came as a turning point, whether I would get into assistant honorship after having passed MS brilliantly, if they declared VP Mehta not fit to continue, but it was not to be. And that is how my life changed, that I went for FRCS. If he was declared earlier, I would have been in KM much earlier as an assistant honorary. Vasant Seth was very hard working person. He would read the operation, bring the book into the operation theater and ask his assistants and PGs to read out step by step. Are na baba, jaldi na mat karo. Ha, I am here. So he had no shame about it. But he was a brilliant teacher. Now you ask me who taught us for MS? Nothing, man. There were no coaching classes. No coaching classes. And nobody clandestinely taught. पैसा लेके किसी ने सिखाया नहीं है, वो बाद में चालू हो गया। उसमें हमारा कल्प्रिट डीएससी देवधर नागपुर में जाके लोगों को पैसा लेके सर्जरी सिखाता था। तो he was exposed because he was taking money for teaching and he was also taking money for passing people or giving them medals. तो उसको हकाल दिया गवर्नमेंट ने, बाद में वो न्यूजीलैंड चला गया। तो we had to arrange our own tutorials. The registrars of GS Medical College, NOCERE and Grand Medical, they used to arrange lectures of famous teachers in those days. So who were our teachers? Dr. Baliga, E.J. Borges, what a brilliant person, loved teaching. So the batch of MS, 30 people used to be there at 2 o'clock, Tata Memorial Auditorium down below, and he used to take brilliant clinical. Of course, he had all cancer patients to show us as a bedside, but he taught us very well. We had one G.S. Kelkar, brilliant academician of Grand Medical College. So he used to even take our pathology specimens and surgical instruments. We had Vernon De Silva from Grand Medical College. Vernon De Silva. Our own seniors who had passed MS, they used to teach us. Amongst them were Nemish Shah, another registrar of Baliga. Later on became cardiothoracic in Bombay Hospital and Grand Medical College. And also Vaze, famous Vaze, ML Vaze. So they were also used to take our classes. So this is how we had this MS examination. After we had post-graduation was allowed by University of Bombay. You register yourself with a registered teacher. Each one allowed 3 per year. Whether you do any post or that, university had no concern. A registration date, 3 years MS examination. Whether you get cutting experience or not, no lookout. Many of them PGs were attached to each unit. तो वहाँ बेचारे काम करते थे, मेहनत करते थे, वार्ड में काम करते थे। अगर हम छुट्टी पर गए तो वो लोकम करते थे। 10 दिन का लोकम किया, क्या किया यार, 2 हर्निया मिला, 2-3 अपेंडिक्स मिला। And later on they managed to get their updation. But today's system of a PG entrance examination, lakhs of students appearing, one entrance for MBBS, one entrance for PG, and out of so many lakhs, only so many seats. And then that controversial thing which never existed in those days, reservation. I don't want to talk on this. It's a very difficult subject to talk. It's a creating a harness nest and unnecessary makhiyan udaenge. But that was the thing, that people got MS even without working as a registrar. I was fortunate that after my 6 months general surgery, 6 months orthopedic, whom do I meet there? I was in the unit of A.K. Tarvalkar. One day, a tall, handsome, white clothes, white sandals, K.T. Dhalakia, MCH, assistant. But poor fellow, never got any work in Tarvalkar's unit. That thing hurt me very much. Why do people do not encourage their juniors? उसी दिन कसम लिया कि अगर मैं कहीं भी जाऊं तो मेरे से मेरा शिष्य मेरे से ज्यादा बढ़ेगा. I will see to it. I will create many more like me. But KT never had a good deal from Tarvalkar. One of these days he used to ask me, अरे चौधरी तुम्हारे यूनिट में क्या चलता है? He was with Katrak, RJ Katrak, another good Parsi soul, very sweet looking talking person, patient के साथ बहुत अच्छी. He was so popular. There was a very wonderful joke. One bhaiya came to our A.K. Tarvalkar's clinic. साहब मैं तो जौनपुर से आया हूँ, बहुत आपका नाम सुना है, आप बहुत दयालु है, मेरा ये प्रॉब्लम है, मेरा लड़के को पैर ऐसा ऐसा हो गया है। तो तलवलकर मेरे मिस्टेक उसको पूछा, अच्छा मेरा नाम तूने यूपी में सुना, क्या नाम है मेरा? एक आरजे कातर साहब सर। तो कभी पूछना नहीं किसी को। पर तो केटी मेरे को जब पूछा, आई टोल्ड केटी, as a simple house surgeon, I had the audacity to advise Katie, बॉस तुम इनके फंदे में मत पड़ो, ये लोग सब ट्रोमा करते हो, तुम दूसरे यूनिट में ऑल रिकंस्ट्रक्टिव वर्क, ऑल पोलियो वर्क, ऑल टेलीपस इक्वाइनस एंड अदर थिंग, you develop that branch. He took that very seriously, and soon a center came up at Varali, that rehabilitation center, and therefore Katie was more known, more than trauma, because you are the first person to do all these operations, which normal persons. I remember in OPD of orthopedics, if a polio patient came, उसको बोलते थे नहीं, he is too young, बाद में आओ, बाद में आता तो बोलता बहुत लेट हो गया, because nobody wanted to touch them, and polio was rampant. Thanks to my organization Rotary and Government of India, today we don't see any patients of polio. So preventive is always better, no doubt. So K.T. Dholakia was one of the persons in those days that we came across, and we used to have MS Part 1, Part 2 was. It helped me for my final FRCS. Today it is gone. Can you imagine that we people without any coaching, registrar करते करते MS Part 1 को बैठते थे, writing paper in anatomy and physiology. I cleared it in first shot, MS Part 1. Part 2, 4 examiners for oral, 3 papers writing, 3 hours, and 4 examiners, one your local, Dr. Munsif, one from Nair Patrao, one from JJ Mulki, and one external from Chennai. He had come. Narasimha Rao. He was very strict person. When I appeared for my MS, Munsif and Mr. Narasimha Rao and Mulki, Munsif and Narasimha Rao wanted to give me gold medal distinction. Patra said, if you pass my student from Nair, then only I will allow you this student to be given this. पता नहीं आधा घंटे के बाद पता लगा कि मैं सिर्फ पास हो गया फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट और नायर वाला फेल हो गया. I don't know whom did they disjustice, to me or to the Nair man, or whether they stood by principle that man did not deserve to pass, so we will not pass him. So whether this man deserves to get distinction and all that, मेरा बकरा हो गया पूरा. No matter, पास तो हो गया था MS. अब क्या करना? What next? His assistant honoris post vacant. VP Mehta is not coming. Known addict. Later on, VP Mehta revived himself, totally rehabilitation, and sat with his brother, brilliant income tax practitioner SP Mehta. उसके ऑफिस में VP Mehta, MD MS, gold medalist, assistant honorary surgeon, later on sitting in the office of his brother SP Mehta, income tax consultant. So because that was not coming, तो मेरा ड्रीम कहाँ जाना है? विलायत जाना है. क्या बनना है? FRCS बनना है. That is how the journey, third part will start now. 10 brilliant years. People ask me, why were you so particular about GS? क्या रखा है यार GS में? GS कॉलेजला काय सोनं लागलंय? म्हटलं नाही, GS मध्ये जाणाऱ्या माणसाच्या आयुष्याचं सोनं होतं. GS में सोना नहीं है. GS सोना प्रोड्यूस करते हैं. हमारे जैसे कई GS की कॉम्रेडियरी, I will come to that when I talk on the third. Whatever I could not do in Akola, all my GS extremely specialized people came to Akola. मैं हाथ पकड़ के मेरे को सर्जरी सिखाया जो मुझे मालूम नहीं था. What are you as a surgeon? General surgery. People ask me what kind of surgeon you are. अरे बॉम्बे यूनिवर्सिटी में MS एक ही डिग्री थी बॉस. बाद में MS ऑर्थो आया, बाद में MS ENT आया. तो हमारा कर्णिक विचार ENT में चलता था, रजिस्ट्रार MS में बैठता था, हो गया नहीं तो इधर MS ENT में फर्स्ट बैच, इधर मर्चेंट, गोपू मर्चेंट, रजिस्ट्रार ऑर्थोपेडिक्स. MS सर्जरी नहीं हुआ, MS ऑर्थोपेडिक आया, फर्स्ट शॉट पास हो गया, बड़ौदा में प्रोफेसर बना, गोपू मर्चेंट. इन मेमोरी दे हैव ए लेक्चर, Merchant Memorial Lecture. So like that, specialties never came, but the GS Medical College had a big list of specialists coming up in those days. From GS Medical College, basic surgery comes neurosurgeon R.G. Ginde, assistant honorary, practicing in the other area, Vincent Road, where colony nursing home Ruya College area. क्या करता था? General surgery, blood bank, plastic surgery, repairs, goes to Canada and Mr. McGill Penfield University takes his lessons in neurosurgery, and then Atkinson Modley, Wimbledon, UK, comes to KEM Hospital, establishes neurosurgery department. Extremely sensitive man. He used to sit by the side of the patient if he had operated in the morning. There were no ICU. You had to do your own post-operative rigors. Patient serious hai to hai. You cannot pass on your patients to ICU. मी मराठी सांगतो की काय झालं तुमचं खरकट तुम्हालाच करावं लागायचं. Sit by the side of your patient. I remember one day when he lost a patient in Ginde crying in the side room of that ward. We had to console him कि सर ऐसा तो होता है because you have learned neurosurgery in those centers. Have you trained your anesthetists? Have you trained your nursing staff? Have you trained your post-operative staff? That has to come. So gradually it came up. Ginde neurosurgery, neurophysician Edin Bharucha, urology Dara Karanjawala, back from England, TUR, first TUR in KEM Hospital, patient bled to death. Boss hota hai ye. Everybody has learning curve. When you become famous, you forget what happened in the earlier phases. Whom did you learn from? From your own patients. PK Sen operating on the first aortic and aorta replacement by cadaveric aorta, loses the patient on the second day. It happens, but the science has to progress. We don't call it mistake. It's a learning curve. Plastic surgery, Charlie Pinto, the man who had a nursing home in those areas, goes to England. Sir William Pitt के पास पढ़ के आता है Department of Plastic Surgery. We had one wonderful thing during undergraduate. In 4-5 years, a WHO team comes as an exchange with Bombay University. Who comes? The famous Danish surgeon Husfield, the famous Italian surgeon Valdoni. These people gave lectures in the quadrangles of St. Xavier's College and operated in theaters of KEM and JJ Hospital. We had Sir Cecil Wakeley, the man profusely wrote in surgical literature, editors in so many textbooks and Love and Billy and whatnot. He comes to KEM Hospital. I, as a senior registrar of Dr. Baliga, arranged 2 operations for him to show us. Radical mastectomy, 30 minutes fast, man. But let me be honest, I would not follow him. It was butchery. You just went along cutting with fingers and all that. It's not necessary these days. But I saw him operating in KEM Hospital, radical mastectomy in 30 minutes and thyroid in 25 minutes. Anyway, Sir Cecil Wakeley, I entertained him in RMO's quarters with whatever British food I could offer at that time, getting some help from other chefs. So हमारे साथ उसने lunch खाया. When I went to England after 6 months, अरे यार, he was so happy. I'm glad to see you, doctor. You helped me at the operation, and what a brilliant lunch you gave me. I don't know. He was staying in Taj, but he still liked what we offered because उसमें थोड़ा बहुत Indian masala भी था. So he was happy about that. Sir Cecil Wakeley. So that is how KEM developed. Baliga brought some Russian surgeons. I had to arrange his lecture, and the lecture was not in any other hall but the Blavatsky Lodge. कहाँ था वो? Very close to area where Vidya Bharati has come about. Bharatiya Vidya Chowpatty के पास Blavatsky Lodge. A Russian surgeon. So ऐसा था. MBBS, MS, ready for next step. Episode 3. साहेबांच्या देशात FRCS. Why? What was the craze? If I had known that it would have been better to work with experts in India or go to England and only work, Sanat Bhagwati never got his FRCS, but he learned neurosurgery. So many urologists never did FRCS. They learned urology. It is better to learn the technique because surgery is technique and your philosophy in surgery. That is what makes a good surgeon, not your degrees. आजकल मैं देखता हूँ बच्चे पार्ट 1 getting into medical college entrance examination, part 2 you ask children which batch you are now doing, first medical, what do you do? Oh, we don't go to wars. What do you do? Coaching classes. You are producing paper tigers, man. Paper tigers. Where are the those we had that 6 in a batch, junior, 2 seniors, 8 persons in surgical unit, wash with assistant honorary, wash with registrar. If you are expert, if you are very enthusiastic and smart, operate hydroseal as a third year student and lectures. But today they are all interested in becoming specialists.
Yeah.
And here I am coming to Akola, which I will talk in next time. I didn't know anything. What is general surgery? ये पेशेंट आता है प्लास्टिक सर्जरी है, ये लेडी आती है उसका यूट्रस निकालना है, ये फलाना आता है उसका ऑर्थोपेडिक करना है, ये ब्रेन में गिर गया बेहोश हो गया. हाउ डिड आई लर्न? GS मेडिकल कॉलेज. वेकेशंस, मॉर्निंग GS मेडिकल कॉलेज, इवनिंग्स ड्रामा, म्यूजिक, cinema, social. Update yourself, your own CME program all these years. So boss, any other question?
One question, sir.
Bolo.
You said that when you were speaking about Dr. Baliga, Aruna Asaf Ali, Nehru, minds of a particular level of intelligence will automatically attract each other. Now, sir, I have to ask you a question. What happened between MS Part 1 and MS Part 2 when you had a meeting of minds?
I know, I have that sheet. You know what happened? After I became MBBS, अकोला डॉक्टर चौधरी का लड़का तो बहुत आते थे रिश्ते. मैं सोचा आई हैव सो मेनी फ्रेंड्स. अरे बाबा 80 में से तो हमको 8-10 लड़कियां थी हमारे साथ. मगर क्या होता था, ये आदमी अच्छा सिखाता है. He has a knack to teach. I do not know. Even in the exams, I will tell you later on, there was a story going around in England कि अगर आपका नंबर MR चौधरी के बाद आता है फेलोशिप में तो 2-3 लड़के तो फेल होने वाले हैं. ये लड़का उठ के गया तो बाद में दूसरे जो भी आते हैं, बिहार से आते हैं, यूपी से आते हैं, वो तो कभी पास नहीं हो सकते. तो आई यूज्ड टू टीच. सो 1 or 2 गर्ल्स यूज्ड टू बी वेरी क्लोजली एसोसिएटेड कि भाई इनके साथ पढ़ना है, ये करना है. बट आई सडनली रियलाइज आई हैव ए लॉन्ग वे टू गो. व्हाट अबाउट लाइफ पार्टनरशिप? What about your hormones? Listen to the call of your own hormones. And that is how I got married when I was just doing my registrarship and I had to appear for my Part 1 MS. My mother was happy that she will get her first bahu. My father was upset. ये लड़का मेरा ड्रीम खत्म कर देगा. अभी शादी हो जाएगा ना तो पता नहीं. शादी के बाद 5 परीक्षा मैंने दिया. Part 1 MS, Part 2 MS, primary FRCS, final FRCS Edinburgh, final FRCS Dublin. And my wife Devyani, coming from a very pious, well-known, religious Marathi family in Ahmedabad. So Marathi brought up in Gujarati culture, just matriculate. But she was like Nutan to me. Everybody knew her as Nutan. She looked exactly like Nutan. So I selected her, got married with her, very understanding. She continued her studies, did her BA. And when I called her after my FRCS in England, she studied operating theatre techniques, helped me in England, also helped me in Akola. And one day suddenly she said, enough is enough. You are too rude to me in the theatre. I am not your operating nurse. You better teach your own nurses. But she managed as a hospital management, took a course in the NITI at Powai, National Institute, hospital management short course. So that is how thing happened. Glad you asked that question. Should a man marry before he completes his education? आजकल तो बॉस कोई भी 30-35 के पहले मैरी नहीं करता. अगर दोनों करते हो तो उसकी फेलोशिप चल रही है त्रिवेंद्रम में और इसकी फेलोशिप चल रही है बॉम्बे में. And they meet in between somewhere, they fly out. It's all, it's a hard work. But हमारा तो स्मूथ था. भाई घर है, खाने पिलाने वाले माँ बाप है, बबू को संभालने वाले माँ बाप है, बहु अंडरस्टैंडिंग है पत्नी, तो आप इंग्लैंड में 1 साल जाते हो, she trusts you, she allows you to go, you do your job well, she joins you there. That is what life is all meant about. To have a good family married life for a surgeon. I have examples of 20 brilliant surgeons, but zero family life, zero happiness about children. Why? Why should life be lopsided? Develop your life on every side. Surgery is just part of it. You have been asked to serve the population through your skills, but you have your own life. You have a social responsibility. You have family.
Totally. Thank you very much, sir. We meet again next Sunday for the 3rd episode for Sahibacha Deshat, Tales from Englistan.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.